at you guys with more Bronco content here at Lethal Performance. In front of me right here is a huge pallet of Reaper Offroad products that we're going to be installing on our four-door first edition Bronco. What we've got here is one of the only full tubular front and rear bumper upgrade kits for your Bronco. We're excited to be installing these and see how they look on our Bronco. I've actually had the pleasure of seeing the front and rear tubular bumper installed on the Reaper Offroad vehicle at the PRI show, and it looks awesome, so I'm sure it's going to look awesome on our Bronco. I can't wait to get this installed. Essentially what we've got here are the front and rear bumpers, as well as our license plate relocation kit, upgraded spare tire mount, and you've got the relocation kit for all the sensors on the front and rear bumpers. So let's go ahead, open these boxes up, and take a look at the Reaper Offroad Bronco products. Ready to pop this sucker open. Now, this looks like the front bumper, right? Got the rear bumper here now. All right, this is the rear bumper. The same thing, gnarly finish on it. Beefy, beefy, nice. Spare tire, right?
Oh, there, yeah.
Cool, looks like it slides too. Same thing, part of the mount, right? Third brake light. Sweet. Nice. And here it is, everything laid out for the Reaper Offroad Bronco front and rear upgrade, as well as our spare tire carrier. Everything looks awesome. If you didn't know, Reaper Offroad is also a sister company of our good friends over at Stainless Works, also making high quality exhaust components, so we know these guys make quality stuff. Now it's time to go next door and get this stuff installed on the Bronco.
Now, before we get into the install on the truck itself, we're going to do a little bit of a pre-assembly with all of the components that Reaper provides. To start with here, we're going to start assembling the front bumper here with these accent plates. These accent plates are going to go behind the Reaper logos on each side of the bumper. Super easy to install, just 2 bolts that hold on each plate. Of course, you're going to want to follow their instructions using the correct washers and nuts. Now you can go ahead and disassemble the Morimoto lights that Reaper sends with these kits and then install them onto the bumpers. What I'm going to do now is install this spacer along with the hardware that attaches the bumper to the truck. The reason I'm doing this is simply for organizational purposes, and I am going to have to take it back off before I put it on the truck. Now, if you notice some overspray on the threads like you see here, you're definitely going to want to clean those threads off just to avoid the nut from cross-threading or possibly damaging those threads as it is tightened down. We recommend you either use a dye or wire brush in order to clean these threads off. With all that out of the way, that pretty much covers the front bumper. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on to the rear sensor bracket kits. Now, if you don't have these, don't worry about this step here. This only applies to those who have bought the rear sensor bracket separately. You can pretty much assemble the entire rear sensor mount off of the truck before you install it. Although, if you have that rear tire mount from Reaper, you're not going to want to install this cover here that you see me installing right now. This cover is only for those who do not have the rear tire kit, as that tire kit will poke through that pocket there that the cover is now covering. Now that we got that whole bracket assembled, we can go ahead and move on to the spare tire mount. Just like the front bumper, we're going to start with adding on these accent plates. Next, we're going to move on to the center part of the mount, which holds the actual wheel to the bracket. You're going to want to leave these bolts loose here simply because you don't know exactly what spacing you're going to need for the exact tire and wheel combination you have. You can make the adjustments fully on the vehicle once the entire kit is installed. Next, we're going to go ahead and flip it over and attach the pieces on the back, starting with these tie rod ends. Now you can go ahead and attach your third brake light extension. Now you're going to probably want to leave this loose as well, simply because you're not going to be entirely sure on the correct height of it due to different size tire heights, and to boot you don't have the tire currently on there to properly space it out. Now that we've got the majority of the assembly done on the bumpers, we can go ahead and bring the truck over and start working on it. First things first, we're going to start with the front bumper, starting by removing the skid plate. Next, you can go ahead and remove these push pins, which is going to allow you to take the covers off that are hiding the bolts underneath them. Next, you can go ahead and unplug the sensor harness if you have them, and then remove the 3 bolts on each side to remove the bumper. Once you have it safely removed and put aside, you can go ahead and grab your Reaper bumper and prepare it for install.
Wow, don't speak too soon.
Now that we've got the bumper actually attached, we can finish up the wiring for the fog lights, attach the bash guard, and we are all good to go. Now let's go ahead and move on to the rear bumper, starting of course by removing it. We've had this bumper off quite a few times in some of our exhaust videos, so we're pretty much experts at it at this point. Of course, if you have sensors, don't forget to unplug the harness. Next, you can go ahead and drop the spare tire and then start removing the spare tire mount. For instructions, you're going to have to disassemble that mount, take some of the components out and reuse it on their spare tire mount. Once the spare tire mount is on and tightened down, you can go ahead and install the sensor brackets. Of course, if you don't have sensors and you didn't buy this kit, you can go ahead and skip this step. Now with the sensor bracket on, you can go ahead and install the rear bumper. Now that the rear bumper is on and attached, you can go ahead and finish up that rear spare tire mount. Once the mount is assembled, you can mount the spare tire, start adjusting the height on the third brake light as well as the distance of the spare tire on the mount itself. And then of course, last but not least, install that license plate relocation bracket. After following Reaper's instructions, it should look something like this. So now that we've got it all installed on the truck, you can finally see how it looks on our Bronco. We think it gives it a nice aggressive touch without going too crazy. It does open up the front end a little bit more, so you see a little bit more what lies underneath, but otherwise the bumper looks great. To summarize the install, the front bumper is a piece of cake and shouldn't take you more than an hour. With some simple wiring and of course a bolt-on installation, there's really not much there that can go wrong. As far as the rear bumper goes, it does take a little bit more time since there are a few more pieces to the puzzle, but overall, nothing that we couldn't handle. As far as parking sensors go, Reaper Offroad already has the rear sensor kit ready to go and we have it currently installed on the truck. As far as the front bumper is concerned, they're still currently working on that kit, but once once it is available, we will be installing, and they have guaranteed us that it will work on the bumper, even though we've already got it installed. As far as the collision assist and active cruise control sensor, that also has no effect on the bumper, and they both work perfectly together. It's important to note that all the cameras on the truck also still work, and the bumper doesn't block out any of those. All the Reaper Offroad bumpers and accessories are available here at lethalperformance.com. If you guys have any questions or you want to check the stuff out for yourself, click the link in our bio, comment below, and of course, check out our channel for the rest of the content that we have for the Bronco platform. This has been Joe with Lethal Performance, and I'm out.
Big top hat.